Tracy Take. I am your co-host, Tyler, here with my brother, Ryan, and we are going to be breaking down all the divisional round games as they are now over as of a couple minutes ago. Then we're also going to be spending a bulk of the episode talking about each of the losing teams' season and what they need to address in the off season as like a brief preview before we get into the actual off season. So, but before we get in there, Ryan and I, we just want to thank everyone that's been subscribing this past week. As we've said, coming into the year and started this year, we're going to producing a lot more content, and we're looking to keep growing our community because we just love talking about football. Everyone that's commented, liked our videos, seen our videos, we want to say thank you. And if this is your first time here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like our videos, and so you can see also when we create new content, and also leave a comment on who you think will be winning the Super Bowl this season with 4 teams remaining. And Ryan, with that being said, let's get right into it. Let's go in reverse order of all the games. So we'll talk about the most recent one that's closest in our mind. So let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys 49ers game. 49ers beat the Cowboys again in the divisional round for a second year in a row, beat them 19-12. Once again, Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott cannot seem to play good football when it matters. And we'll be talking a lot about them here in a second, but let's look at the 49ers. And you mentioned right before we went live, it was such a grinded out game. And this to me is like why I think this 49ers-Eagles matchup is going to be so great. Because both of these teams, they can win a grinded out game. They can win a shootout game. Both defenses are studs. They're kind of almost, they're essentially the same team. Like we could go down the list and be like, they have this player, like these players are the same. These players are the same, and just keep going down. And the 49ers look the part. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to, didn't seem like he missed a step.
He struggled a little bit with the pressure, and that concerns me little bit. Not the pressure of the game, the pressure that Dallas
had. Yeah.
And so for me, I think he struggled a little bit with that. And I think Philly's going to be able to do a similar thing. The only thing is Dallas is an extremely athletic defense. And not that Philly's not. I just don't think Philly has the same speed at the safety and cornerback position that Dallas does. No. Their front seven is just as good, if I would say maybe not quite as good, but really close. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's going to be interesting to see because San Francisco dishes the ball around so well. Philadelphia does the same thing. But I kind of have to give the edge to San Francisco's defense. What they did today, stifling Dak Prescott, we'll talk about Dak Prescott a little bit more later, but he made some horrible throws, some horrible decisions, and it was really all due to the pressure that San Francisco was putting on him. And that for me is going to be really interesting because Jalen Hurts can't outrun the linebackers like he could against New York this weekend. And so that to me is going to be what's really interesting, like looking into this matchup a little further and like how it's going to play out. So
well, and I think specifically like sticking on the San Francisco defense is that they're able to like they can obviously blitz and be very effective blitzing and get after the quarterback, but they can also just send 3 guys, 4 guys and still get pressure and drop back guys. They're able to scheme and disguise what type of defense they're in, making it very tough for even the best of quarterbacks. And offensively, I agree with you. I mean, we've listed it out every time we talk about the 49ers, but we just go down the list and shoot. Even during crunch time, they're handing the ball off to their, I guess, like technically, Elijah Mitchell, who was their number 1 running back, but I guess now he's not since McCaffrey's there.
Yeah.
But like they're handing him off the ball like during crunch time. And he did make an error at the end. He should have stayed in bounds, not even giving Dallas an opportunity. But I guess now let's segue into Dallas. Like I guess it didn't matter if he gave them an opportunity because Dallas has a horrible quarterback. And we even said in the preview, horrible is a strong word, but he played horrible today. I mean, he played horrible today. I even think, I'm not a big fan of Mike McCarthy, but Dallas's defense brought it today. They did. You know, Micah Parsons and company played very well. Leighton Vander Esch played very well. And they held that San Francisco offense to just 19 points. They made Brock Purdy look like a rookie, which is one of the keys that we needed him, or that they needed him to have. And Dak Prescott just absolutely shit the bed. 23 for 37, 206 yards, one touchdown, 2 picks, should have been 3, maybe 4 picks. That's why those guys are playing defense and not offense on San Francisco, but still horrible reads. Almost got a safety at the end. He just looked awful. And we look at it. He averaged just over a pick a game during all the games this season. Just horrible decision making. And he's getting paid $40 million a year. That's a lot.
That's what I was about to say. That is this performance. Dak Prescott had a phenomenal wild card weekend against a gassed and
old Tampa Bay defense.
Now, I gave Dak credit last week. He looked good for the first time in his playoff career, right? Didn't have an interception. Threw 4 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah, 300 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the performance you expect from your $400 million or $40 million quarterback in the playoffs. Today, he looked like the rookie, and Brock Purdy stepped up and was the one making plays at the end. And it's just absurd to me that he demanded this contract and then is not delivering, especially when with this contract they have gone out and built this defense up. This is an elite defense in the NFL. Top notch, extremely athletic, super fast, very opportunistic. Trayvon Diggs actually had a chance for a pick, and unlike him, he dropped it.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's your typical Dan Quinn defense. Big, fast, all around, going to come after and hit you. And they're probably going to lose him this year because their teams are going to want him to be a head coach. There's a lot of head coaching jobs that are very intriguing. But built this defense up, and it's a fifth of their cap space is going to a guy that can't deliver.
Yeah, he has a $49 million cap hit next year.
Yeah, so if there's
is over a fifth. That's over a fifth.
That's over.
It's only going to be $223 million next year, I think.
Yeah.
So that's over a fifth.
I think. Has that officially come out yet on what the cap is?
No, it hasn't come out, but it was 215 this year, and they usually increase it by the estimate was that it would be.
Well, it could change with the contract with the new contracting deal with YouTube. So I don't know how much that gets divvied. So, but I think I see what you're saying. It's going to be around that. It's going to be around that range. But for me, I don't know what Dallas does to go into the offseason because you're absolutely right. They have a great defense.
They can't.
I think they got a little unlucky with Tony Pollard going hurt, or not a little unlucky. That was unfortunate for Dallas. It did kind of mix things up with Dallas. But even then, though, before Tony Pollard got hurt, Dak already had 2 picks. He only had 100-something yards of passing on the day. But as we head into the offseason, I don't know what can be changed besides just saying just play better. You just have to play better.
Yeah.
Because I liked their offensive line. I think they maybe get a little bit healthier in the offensive line. And I know people are probably going to comment on this video saying Dak didn't have an offensive line because I think who was it? Tyron or Tyron Smith. Tyler Smith, I think, was out. No, they had a left tackle that was out that moved Tyler Smith to left tackle. Double check that for me while I go on.
Tyler Smith played left tackle all year.
Or maybe it was left guard. Because there was a guy that was out.
Tony Pollard's the only one I see. Connor McGovern and Zach Martin is the left guard, I think. And they all played.
Where did I see that? Because they were saying So Jason Peters, is that who it is?
Yeah, but he's 42. He was more of a mentor figure for Tyler Smith, starting left tackle.
Who's Tyron Smith then?
That might be the right tackle.
Maybe there's a right tackle I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So either way, okay. Now that we got that figured out,
Yeah.
So, but still though, his decision making was awful. The decision making was awful. The second pick, the one that Fred Warner picked off, that receiver was not open. at
No,
all.
he was not.
Didn't even see the secondary that was right there.
I actually thought his first interception was supposed to be a throwaway. That's how bad of a pass it was, but it just was in the air. It was just right there for the guy. And so he actually got lucky. That game could have been blown wide open from the get-go if that first pick is returned for a touchdown or San Francisco goes and scores a touchdown.
That should have been a third pick. With 3 minutes left, that's a touchdown. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell doesn't go out of bounds. I mean, then they don't even get an opportunity to go down and score. Probably the worst one though to me is this should be the most basic NFL throw. It was the throw right after the dropped interception with 3 minutes left, and we talked about it. The one to Michael Gallup should have been right up the seam, breaking that cover two. I'm pretty sure it was cover two defense, but he went right past the safety, and instead of throwing it to him in stride, he threw it behind him, and Michael Gallup's got to stop, and then that allows the secondary to come back in. And to me, it's like that's the most routine deep ball throw.
With that throw, he threw him right back into the safety, so he has to lean back. Whereas really, you want to throw that in between the hash marks, and you just let the guy run under it. You don't throw it outside because Michael Gallup split the safeties perfectly, set up the one safety to lean to the outside, and then he went right where he was. It was a beautiful route, and should have been 6 points. So for me, Dak Prescott gets an F for this performance. To me, where they could really improve, outside of CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, there's a big drop off at wide receiver. They did draft Jalen Tolbert last year, who was out for most of the season with injuries. Actually, you need to look what his status is. But
I do know he did not really play too much this year. I know Noah Brown was kind of that other option, especially as Michael Gallup was getting a little bit healthier. Yeah.
Jalen Tolbert he was out, missed 10 weeks. He never came back. He injured and missed the rest of the season.
Okay.
But he'll be back next year, so that'll be another weapon. And then they have a good tight end group: Dalton Schultz, Peyton Hendershot, and Jake Ferguson. 2 rookies actually in that group as well. But man, Dak's just got to play better. To be paid $40 million, that's unacceptable. You can't do that. And so, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before. Personnel wise, maybe they could add another receiver. They maybe could add another corner opposite Trayvon Diggs, but didn't they do that? They got Micah Parsons, and he was their first pick this past season.
Was it another edge rusher to go along with him?
No, it was Tyler Smith, the tackle, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I agree. I don't really know too much more to add here. And so he wants to get paid the big bucks, but and this is why you
got to play like it.
Well, and this is what's interesting too to me about it, because now all these quarterbacks now, and don't get me wrong, quarterbacks are probably the most important team. I don't want to say definitively, because I'm sure I'm willing to hear other arguments for it, but they're probably the most important player on the team. They probably deserve the most amount of money. But when you get these types of performances and you dedicate over a fifth of your cap space, or close to a fifth of your cap space, to one guy, it takes away from the other positions being so great. And then this is where we look at San Francisco, is they're not paying their QBs top dollar. And look at how great their defense is. They're able to use that money and make a great defense. They're able to go trade and put Christian McCaffrey under their cap, and they're able to pay him whatever his contract is.
And extend Deebo Samuel and have cap space to extend Brandon Ayuk in a year or two.
Yeah. And what's George Kittle's status? Exactly. The tight end market might be.
Actually, I think he got his extension a couple seasons ago.
So they're able to keep all these guys long term, because they're to these quarterbacks.
Yeah,
you don't need to. And then Brock Purdy, now they got another 4 years of Brock Purdy, getting close to probably the league minimum. If you're the 7th round pick.
Well, UDFA contracts are a little bit different. I want to say his contract is only 3 seasons, including this one. So he might only have 2 seasons of a UDFA contract left. And then they can undrafted free agent.
Oh, no, he was drafted.
Oh, he was. So he has 4.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He was Mr. Irrelevant. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought I knew what UDFA was. I'm like, underappreciated draft picks, or I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah, and pick, so. I know, and last thing for me here as well, and it's like I think that's the difference too, because you look at what Brock Purdy did, and you look at Dak Prescott, and I think that's why we're so frustrated. It's because it's just another example of a high paid quarterback not delivering. And then even though you probably look at the stats now, Purdy didn't throw a touchdown, but he also didn't throw any picks today. He didn't lose the game for San Francisco.
Did Dak throw any touchdowns? Yeah, he did. He threw
one on Schultz.
Yeah, okay. He threw a 6-yard pass that I could throw.
Yeah. So, and that's why it's like Brock Purdy did exactly what was expected of him tonight, and that was not lose the game for San Francisco. And he played well. He made some good throws tonight too. But
he made some great throws. So final thing I'll say, Brock Purdy 19 of 29 for 215 yards. Dak Prescott 23 of 37, 206 yards, touchdown, 2 picks.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I will give Dak the benefit of the doubt. This San Francisco defense is the best in the NFL this year. This is not a easy defense to go against. However, Tom, if you look at highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, Tom Brady was one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and took the Patriots on a lot of Super Bowl runs, including a Super Bowl win over the Seattle Seahawks, who were the #1 defense. That was a really tough game. He just, Tom Brady had to gut it out, sit in the pocket, and make the throws. And if you look at Joe Burrow last season, played Tennessee, really good defense. Kansas City, they have a good pass rush. Their defense was not that great last year. And then the LA Rams, all without a horrible offensive line.
Yeah.
And had to get it done. He didn't get it done in the last one, but at least he made plays throughout the game.
Yeah.
And so that's for me the complete lack of big plays from Dak Prescott. He had a couple to CeeDee Lamb that were big plays, but it just was not a good performance from Dak tonight.
They were very few and far between. So I think that's a good break. And you talked about Joe Burrow. I think that's a good segue to now move on then to the next game. Bengals went into Buffalo and even thought that they were at a disadvantage because it was being played in Buffalo. We thought that should be a neutral site game with everything that happened with Damar Hamlin's injury. But man, it honestly looked like the snow hindered Buffalo a lot more than the Bengals dominated from the start. I think it was 4.5 minutes. They went down and scored a touchdown to Jamar Chase, and it looked like they were just in the backyard. The Bengals looked very good.
So one of the things that I want to highlight here, I'm going to talk about Buffalo here for a brief second. We'll go back to Kansas City. Buffalo's defense had a litany of injuries, both before and during this game. Yeah. And when you're going against Jamar Chase with Tre'Davious White and then practice squad guys, that is not a good recipe. And what the Bengals were able to come in here and do was extremely impressive, given the fact that they were expected to be dominated on both sides of the football in the trenches.
Yeah.
And then dominated on both sides of the football in the trenches.
Yeah.
It was a complete performance.
That's what and that to me was the biggest takeaway. And we try and do these where we separate the critique of, and then what to expect for the losing team in the offseason. But I think let's just kind of, when we break this out, just include all this, because that was the biggest thing for me. Yeah. I am surprised. Joe Mixon had over 100 yards rushing. Yeah. And it felt like every time he ran the ball, it just felt like it was 5 yards guaranteed.
Yeah.
Every single time.
So 20 for 105 was his.
So yeah. So yeah. Okay. So then I was pretty right. I didn't even know that it was that many carries. But I was shocked by that, especially too highlighting the 3 offensive line injuries with Jonah Williams, L. Collins, and Alex Kapp all being out. Like, and this Bills front, defensive front,
played injured.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
he got rolled up on.
He did. I remember seeing that. And so now you have this battered offensive line, and we're all thinking like last year, like Joe Burrow better look out. And even without Von Miller, and I think that is a big loss. That is a big loss. But you still have Ed Oliver, Gregory Rousseau. You still got guys that can, you still got guys that can get after the quarterback, that can slow him down, stop the run, and it was just a manhandling.
And one of the things, too, that was really impressive with this offensive line, Buffalo loves to bring linebacker blitzes with Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. They picked up on almost every single one. It was crazy to watch this, well-oiled machine that usually takes a whole season to develop. And it's they did it in a week with 5 guys. That was crazy to me. Was this offensive line, and then the defensive line getting pressure on Josh Allen with just 4. They had I guess they only had 1 sack, but 8 QB hits. I felt like they were back there all day.
Yeah.
So
that's and for me, and I guess just final thing on the Bengals, but it's they look so professional.
Yeah.
They just went in there, took care of, they had a sales meeting, they nailed it. Did a great presentation, and then now they're heading home for the next presentation. It's just what it seemed like it is, even from the start when they got the kickoff, and that combination of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it's Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He is. Yeah, it's fair. He is. When you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on opposite sides of the ball, it makes it look really easy to look really good. And the scheming that Zach Taylor, and I'm blanking on their offensive coordinator, I know what it is, but they had every single answer for Buffalo's defense. Shoot, even Jamar Chase's first touchdown, Joe Burrow's running out to the left. I think Joe Burrow makes the linebacker 8 on the shallow receiver to the left. And then Jamar Chase just creeps out up over top. There's no one within 10 yards of him. He walks right in. Great scheme, but also shows how great Joe Burrow is, that he can also what he can do with the ball, and how T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and then Hayden Hurst also, their tight end, had a great game. He had a touchdown as well. They just have a lot of weapons.
He had 5 for 60 in a touchdown, Hayden Hurst. Yeah. So for me, this looked like a Patriots team, right? They ran the ball first so well, and then it opened up everything else. And the way that they executed it over all 60 minutes, just the sustained 7-minute drives, right? 3rd and 3, you get 4 yards. It's that type of drive just completely demoralizes defenses. Yeah. And they did that for 60 minutes today. It was a great performance.
Oh yeah. And you see that now, and it's I think that what was the spread? Because I think everyone thought Buffalo was going to come in.
Buffalo was at they were 5.5 point favorites.
See, and we both picked the Bengals to win, and it's I just didn't see, I wasn't going to be surprised if Buffalo won. Not to say that but
27-24 last second field goal type of game.
Yeah. Yeah. And they just looked off, and I'm trying to even think of what to improve on. And trenches, yes. I think that they had some injuries, and if Von Miller comes back, get better at the trenches. But I'm trying to think really what the team can improve on, because I know that they were hurt a lot. But going into the offseason,
secondary, for me,
secondary, yes.
Jordan Poyer and what's their other safety's name?
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Micah
Hyde. Yeah.
He got hurt pretty early on in the year. So him coming back will help. But both of those guys are approaching 30, or they're already both over 30. Tremaine Edmonds is a free agent. Matt Milano is also approaching 30, I want to say. However, it doesn't sound like Tremaine Edmonds is going to be able to come back. I think they're going to get outbid for him, unless he decides to take a pay cut and stay. So,
Yeah.
but that for me, this defense, offensive line, they started to do this a little bit in the regular season, but establishing a solid running game, like traditional running game, I think would open up a lot for this offense. Because right now nobody's really biting on their play action.
I agree.
And so solidifying
and
that
then,
O-line.
I think that point then I think the establishing more of a run game and solidifying the O line, I think they kind of go hand in hand. Just like
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
it's like you go look just as the Falcons, for example. We had a 1,000-yard rusher this year, I think, for the first time in several years. But it's because our offensive line actually stayed healthy for most of the year and actually did really good. So having the ability to run the ball, because we all know how effective Josh Allen can be throwing the ball, and I think today was just a tough day for him in general. Him and Stephon Diggs, I think, struggled to connect. But also that being said, they played good defense. The Bengals did.
Oh, they played great.
If they can establish the run and not rely on Josh Allen to be their sole runner, I think I saw they only had 60 rushing yards, and Josh Allen once again was their leading rusher.
I will look.
Now they were behind for most of the game,
Yeah.
so that stat is a little skewed.
So 19 for 63. Josh Allen had 8 carries for 26 yards.
Yeah,
I think had 6 for 24.
I think another thing also to kind of add on that, and this is, I wouldn't say this would be the priority. I would say the priority would be trenches on both sides of the ball. But and I agree with the secondary portion and just getting more depth and younger, but getting another serious number 2, because I think Gabe Davis is good, but it seemed like him and Isaiah McKenzie were not as effective as they were last year. Stephon Diggs is great, but it almost seemed like that they had a regression. It almost seemed like.
Do you think
and I will say that I have not looked at Gabe Davis' stats from this year, last year, see if there was a drop or not.
No, I agree. Just eye test wise, it doesn't look like they were as consistently involved. I know Isaiah McKenzie was expected to have a big year, and he did not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, some of that I feel like has to do with the loss of Brian Dabble.
Yeah.
And they hired Brian Dabble's understudy as the offensive coordinator. And so maybe it might just take him a couple years to kind of get everything back to the way it was. But there was a level of offensive sophistication that they just kind of lacked this year. And we talked about it on this podcast a couple times. It's like they just do things that like concern you. Like they're a little loose with the football. They make these amazing plays, but then Josh Allen will throw 2 red zone interceptions, or they'll fumble a ball inside their own 15 or something. Like it's those things that will cripple an offense. And today they didn't actually really do that. Josh Allen had 1 interception, but
and that 1 interception was, if I remember, was late in the game.
It was.
Yeah. So it's like those are the same. Like if Dak Prescott would have thrown a 3rd interception on that final drive, I almost wouldn't even count that because you're trying to force something. Those interceptions, there should almost be like an asterisk, as in like interceptions thrown in the first 59 minutes of the game, and then like interceptions thrown in the final 60 seconds. And that's, I guess, last one I want to touch, because I know we were just very harsh on Dak Prescott, and I'm trying to think with Josh Allen what he could have done any differently. But it's like the defense wasn't stopping Cincinnati at any time. The offensive line wasn't really giving him. He had 8 pressures? You said
8 QB hits. That is
8 QB pressure. Hits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so there might be even more pressures than just that. So he wasn't having enough time really to throw the ball. And I'm just trying to think of what else Josh Allen could have done, but at the same time, it's just fallen short again for another year in a row. This time, just not to Patrick Mahomes, which is more concerning.
Yeah. Another thing, they had 8 penalties for 60 yards, which that's a good amount.
Actually, and I think I saw. Did Cincinnati have none?
They had 2 for 9.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's really good.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that, I don't know. Buffalo is really really close to being there. I just feel like they're missing a piece. Like,
well, it's the same thing though, and I remember we talked about this in the preseason, or the preview going into the season, and this will just be my last thing, and it reiterates back to the point. But we know how great Josh Allen can be throwing the ball. We know how explosive this offense can be with Stephon Diggs, and when Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie are playing well, and also Dawson Knox really came on at the end as well. I think we saw a lot of good tight end play in all 4 divisional games. But it's been this issue for the past couple of years now. They cannot run the ball very well. It's like they're always top in rushing every year on average, but Josh Allen has half of those rushing yards, you know? So they need to go get 1,000-yard rusher or have the ability to have an 1,000-yard rusher, because you go look at a team like the Eagles. Well, it's fair, or the ability to have an 1,000-yard rusher. But you look at a team like the Eagles, they were up 21 points, right? No, 28 points at halftime.
Yeah.
I think the Giants go down and score. I'm trying to remember the game. And I guess this will be a good segue. But then the Eagles got the ball, and then they took 8 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
And they just ran the ball the entire way down the field, or they did a little 4-yard play action.
So
and the Bills can't do that. The Bills struggle to do that.
Yeah. And for me, I think if you look at Philly, they have a unique situation because Jalen Hurts is so elusive as a runner. But they have 4 guys like that can really run the ball. Like they have Miles Sanders, Boston Scott.
Well, but as I said, it's not just that though. It doesn't matter who's in the back. But you look at the Eagles' offensive line to the Bills' offensive line, and they're a well-rounded group of guys.
So I don't think they need to go out and get 1,000-yard rusher. I just think they need backs that can come in and they can just get 3 to 4 yards of carry, and like you said, beef up that O-line, get it to the point where they can have a set run game, because then that does a couple things. It opens up play action, takes the rushing pressure off Josh Allen, and it keeps Josh Allen out of harm's way more. Yeah. And I know Josh Allen is 6'5", 240 or whatever. But there's going to be a lot of linebackers in the league at that size too.
Well, and there's going to be a hit that gets him one of these days.
Yeah.
And it's so that's why like running backs don't have that or don't have the longevity in the league for lots of reasons, and that's one of them. And you don't want your star quarterback to be doing that.
I want to say Josh Allen is coming up on 2 or 3 800-yard rushing seasons in a row.
That's close. I mean, that is a lot. So
yeah,
for a QB.
Yeah, in a way, that's Lamar Jackson like. Josh Allen had 762 this year. So
does that include playoffs?
No, he had.
Okay. So he had 800 yards then.
Yeah.
If you include playoffs. So
yeah.
But I think there's going to be a lot of thinking going on in the Bills offseason. Congrats to the Bengals. Got another great rematch. We just talked about the Eagles. I think that's a good kind of transition to the Eagles-Giants game. And there's not – there's
not a whole lot to talk about.
Not really a whole lot to talk about, at least from the Eagles side. So I'm looking forward to them. But Eagles – it's funny. In our preview, I remember you asked, like Jalen Hurts hasn't played good, serious football in a month. It gone from the last time they played the Giants when they beat them 48-22, and now they're having a week. Do you think that there's going to be a slump? And I'm like, there's a possibility, absolutely a possibility. And they eliminated any possibility about 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
So I think was it 14-0, and then at the end of the first quarter, and they just got a pick, so they had the ball again and went down and scored another touchdown. I'm so excited for this NFC Championship game. This is going to be such a good game.
Great game.
It's going to be such a good game. This was the game I think we were all dreaming of. Like once we kind of saw the path of both of these two teams, we're like, okay, this could be a potential appetizer to the Super Bowl, because now it's also the Chiefs Bengals are the AFC Championship game. I can see either one of these 4 teams has the right to win a Super Bowl this year.
Oh yeah,
I really think so. Honestly, I think you can make an argument the Chiefs might be the worst of the 4 teams.
Well, we haven't talked about that yet, but
we haven't talked about it yet. So. Yeah, it's true. So, but let's stick with the Eagles. But Yeah, they can beat you in all aspects of it. It looked like it towards the end. I was watching a little bit of it. I think maybe I was folding laundry. I just had it on the background because I didn't even know what to really have on the TV at that point. But it's like A.J. Brown looked disappointed. I think it's just because he wasn't getting the ball enough. Because I remember Nick Sirianni came and like checked in to see if he was okay. This was after they were up 31-7, 38-7. They're going to win the game. And maybe he was just frustrated he got burned or something like that. But it should just be, they're able to distribute the ball all over the place. Dallas Goedert's coming back. He's having a great impact. Devontae Smith is being the Heisman Award NFL receiver that we all thought he could be if he was able to stay healthy. We've already listed off the Philadelphia Eagles running game led by Miles Sanders. Kenneth Gainwell had over 100 yards in that game also.
No, that was Joe Mixon's stats.
Yeah.
Kenneth Gainwell was their leading rusher. I know that.
This is what's going to be great. We have the number one rushing offense, I think, going up against the number
12 for 112.
Does San Francisco have the number one rushing defense?
They have the number one defense as a whole.
It's the number one defense as a whole. Okay,
yeah.
so
I don't know about their defense is really good.
That's really good. Yeah. So close to, if not the number one offense going up against the number one defense, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's. And it's just the NFC Championship game. So that is, I'm so excited for this. Let's just move on to the Giants now at this point, because it's like I think we're all going to say the same thing about the Eagles, but with the Giants, great season, great to be there moment for the Giants. Brian Dable, Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
I would want to say that they need to work on the defense a little bit, but I think it's unfair just because they just got burned by the number one offense or close to the number one offense in the league. To me, though, I think where they really need to improve on it is the offensive weapons side of the ball, obviously, but also I still think they need to improve that offensive line. What are your thoughts on that?
So for me, I think the back end of that defense could get a facelift. It is a little unfair for me to be saying that after the Philadelphia game, because that's, like you said, one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best. And so my big thing is they need to re-sign Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley that can walk. He's a great running back, but to me, you can get a guy in the third round. You can go draft Kendre Miller. Is it from TCU?
Kendre Miller from TCU. Sean Tucker from Syracuse. Yeah. Shoot, you're going to be around that field of where Bijan Robinson might want to go in the first round, which is he has been compared to Saquon Barkley, so you can get him for 5 years.
Yeah, but for me, I think moving on, if you can bring Saquon back, then great. He'll make your running game better. But I think you need to spend that capital on offensive linemen, protect Daniel Jones, and bring in more weapons. Because I think Daniel Jones proved that this year he is deserving of a second contract in New York. And if you get him some weapons, he might be able to be the guy.
Well, we just talked about Josh Allen, and how explosive he can be. And Daniel Jones has Josh Allen traits. It was almost like he's turning into a Josh Allen 2.0. Josh Allen light. I don't. 2.0 sounds like an improvement.
He's not.
But he's like
physical runner of Josh Allen, but he's as athletic.
He is as athletic. Yeah. And he can run, but it seems like a very similar style of game. He might not be as great of a passer as Josh Allen. That's still, I think, to be seen. But I guess also he hasn't really had an elite receiver weapon to throw to. And so, but that could be an interesting kind of off-season debate on who
they both have tremendous arms. How about that?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good way to say it, so that no one gets upset.
Yeah.
But I think I can see that keeping Daniel Jones, give him another thing too as well is if you look at because we were talking about Dak and how much money he's getting compared to cap space, you can probably get Daniel Jones relatively cheap. You're not going to pay him $40 million. I think you can get him for a Jimmy Garoppolo-esque type deal because he's only really
like 25, 30 max.
Yeah, because he's only had one good season, which was this one. And you think, and he showed a lot of growth. Anyways, I'm saying, so then compared to then, I guess what the average franchise quarterback is getting, you're now saving $15 to $25 million that then you can go apply to an offensive line, receivers, and then this kind of then takes away from why Saquon Barkley might not get that big contract with them is, as you said, you can go get a rookie third-round running back and then pay him $1 million. That's what the Falcons did with Tyler Algier. He just had 1,000-yard rushing. The Bears have Khalil Herbert. David Montgomery's probably going to walk because he's in his contract year. And this is the Bears. But David Montgomery for the Bears is probably going to walk because they have Khalil Herbert. Why would they pay David Montgomery top dollar?
Aaron Jones is likely to be a cap casualty in Green Bay. There's the running back position is by far the most turnover heavy of any position, just because those services are so attainable at almost any level, and the running back position depends very heavily on the offensive line. And to me, I think that's just where New York really needs to focus, build up that offensive line. It'll help your pass game, and then whoever is back there, it'll help them out too. And I'm really interested to see what Brian Daboll does. This is his first offseason as a head coach and with a larger say in the draft process.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really curious what happens here. Because they were the 6th seed, right? 6th seed?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're going to compete for the division, but they can have a 5 seed matchup with whoever comes out of the NFC East or NFC South next year at the 4. Little preview there for predictions for next season. But if they're the 5 seed and they're going to Atlanta, to
New Orleans or Carolina,
like I'm picking the Giants in that matchup.
Yeah,
and that's really far away, but then they're in the same position they are this year, but with a better team. And so it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. But I think they have a lot of potential moving forward. So,
yeah, it's tough because this was definitely a shock. It's not as big of a shock as Seattle making the playoffs, but then the Giants coming along. We thought like maybe they can make an improvement. Which what they did, but a lot of people were calling for Daniel Jones to be let go, start over. And now it's like, I think he's your guy. I think he's in the right system. You got a coach who knows what he's doing in developing a young quarterback, and he fits that same style that we've seen him have success in. So, and that's what it is. Like that running back position is just very vulnerable. Like there's only the only exception is Derrick Henry. And I think that's just the style of play. And even that being said, they probably shouldn't have paid him like what the $15-16 million that they're paying Derrick Henry for. So I think that's what he's getting. It's up there for the most with running backs. But Giants, great season. It was a pleasure to watch, to see them grow and what they could do. I hope Darius Slayton sticks around. I like watching him. I hope that they can get some elite receivers to go on the outside of him. And shout out to Richie James and Isaiah Hodgins, and they have Wan'Dale Robinson coming back. Hopefully he's still the same player, if not a better player, coming back from that ACL injury. So, but let's move on though now to another shock team that somehow made the divisional round that no one saw coming come preseason. But that is the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against Kansas City Chiefs. I will say I want to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, especially with both Saturday games. And also actually both Sunday games as well. But I think we were pretty spot on overall on calling these games and what's going to happen, especially with this Jacksonville game. I think a lot of people thought the Chiefs were going to come in there and just roll them. And Jags put up a good fight.
They did.
It was a good fight.
It was like one of those fights. Like it was like when a Floyd Mayweather fought like an Adrian Bronner. Like Adrian Bronner, you knew was a really good fight, and he really only had like a puncher's chance against Floyd Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew Floyd Mayweather wasn't just going to come in and knock him out, right?
Yeah.
And so like for me watching that game, it was like, could Jacksonville just like hit Kansas City with a haymaker? Like they just get a 60-yard play, like maybe a DB blows a coverage, misses a tackle or whatever. That never really came, but they just showed that like they didn't get outclassed. And for me, going into next year, if they can just do a couple things to really improve, I like their chances to win the division again and be in the same position that they were again this year.
Yeah.
Actually very reminiscent of the New York Giants.
Well, and they have Calvin Ridley coming back, and so we'll have to see. Yeah. He hasn't played in, a year and a half to kind of see. But you had him on that side. Christian Kirk impressed me a lot. I was questioning that decision to pay him 4 years, $80 million, be like, I don't know if he really is like a number one type guy, especially being on the opposite side of DeAndre Hopkins. You're going to get a lot of balls, just because DeAndre Hopkins on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. He had a great season. He was the number one guy. And I think now building that connection, they can build off of that. I think Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, Evan Ingram all had great seasons. I think Travis Etienne is a great running back, or will become a great running back. He's going to keep growing and everything. And they had opportunities too. We talk about Christian Kirk just dropped that long pass in the fourth quarter. Jamal Agnew, does not come down to one player, but I was thinking about it. It was like that fourth quarter is going to be like a what if moment, I think, for Jamal Agnew specifically. And it's like I said, it's not his fault, but the kick return, that if it wasn't for the kicker just grabbing his shoelaces, would have been a touchdown. Not fumbling the ball on the 4-yard line, which was just a good play by the defense, and kind of unfortunate too, I think, because he had the ball out there. He just caught it, started to run, and then the guy just tipped it just enough. He wasn't able to corral it in into his body to help protect it. But like they had all the opportunities and earned a lot of respect. I think it was definitely a growing moment. The biggest thing for me, though, I think probably, and this just goes back to a lot of teams that struggle, but I think if they just beef up the trenches again. I felt like Trevor Lawrence was still a little under pressure, and even then defensively, just having. I think Trayvon Walker had a good year. They had the other guy, Miles Jack, or is he a linebacker? Or is he like an edge guy?
He's a linebacker. Yeah, he's an outside linebacker, I think. But he's very versatile. I think he plays all over.
Okay, so. But keep beefing up that defensive line. Because even I think their secondary led by Tyson Campbell, or not led by Tyson Campbell, but Tyson Campbell and company is they also have Andre Sisco as well, I think from Syracuse, as their safety. So they've got some talent back there. They just need to piece it together.
That for me is the big thing. They're a very young team on the offensive side of the ball. I actually don't really think that they lack anything right now at the skill position. Travis Etienne, Jamal Agnew, great running back duo. Christian Kirk, like you said, Calvin Ridley is going to be coming back, and then they have Zay Jones and Marvin Jones. If they're going to add anything at the skill position, I think they need like a true X wide receiver, like a true outside guy. Because Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley are a little bit smaller. They're not quite like the I don't want to say Kenny Galladay's, but they're not the 6'3", 210-pound.
They're not a Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
They're looking for a Mike Evans. Yeah.
They don't really have that. And then tight end Evan Ingram, maybe get another guy to go alongside him. But even then,
I will say I'm curious because I'm pretty sure like Evan Ingram is, I think he just signed a 1-year deal, so I don't see why they wouldn't want to sign him again. Also might be like, I want a little bit more money this time around.
Maybe,
but we have to see. I guess it was maybe if they signed him to 2 years, but I just think he fit well in that system. I think Trevor Lawrence is the guy there. I don't know if you saw his press conference, but like he was a true leader. I mean, the Trevor Lawrence that we're used to seeing, especially at Clemson, but he took that one hard, that loss hard, and the entire team did. And I think they should be very proud of themselves for the run that they went on. And I personally, I think they have this division locked up. I mean,
for the foreseeable future.
For the foreseeable, Houston's not going to be good really anytime soon, even though they have some pieces there. Indiana, who knows what's going on with Indianapolis. You know, that being said, they are a quarterback away, I think, from being decent. I think they have all the other pieces. They just need a good quarterback.
But who's gonna go in there and be the guy? I think they'll end up
CJ Stroud.
Well, I think they'll go in and draft CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. I think that is. I'm not a huge fan of Bryce Young. He's smaller than Tua, and we're seeing all the problems that Tua is having. And I think if he goes to Indianapolis, though, that's a good situation for Bryce Young. Good offensive line. He's coming into good weapons. With a solid run game. So,
but and then and I was just last thing with the AFC South. Tennessee's going to be going through a rebuild this year. I mean, because Ryan Tannehill should be gone. They need to revamp everything. I have a prediction. I think that will also then kind of shock the Tennessee football world as well with what I think Tennessee's going to do.
You think they're going to trade Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I guess because that's really the only shocking thing, I guess. But I think they'll trade Derrick Henry.
Tracy McMath is now a Raider. Yeah.
Trading Tracy McMath.
Yeah.
What a name. That's a name.
That is a name.
I say all that, though, coming back to Jacksonville, though, it's like, I don't see why they wouldn't, if they obviously keep this momentum going here, keep the talent, grow from this. Trevor Lawrence keeps growing, which no reason to see why he wouldn't keep growing. And then I won't follow saying on that. And then think about the AFC now. So it's like you have Joe Burrow in the AFC North, Josh Allen in the AFC East, Patrick Mahomes in the AFC West, and then Trevor Lawrence now in the AFC South. They dominate that division. And it's like, and they're all so young.
Oh, yeah.
The
average age is like 24 between those four guys.
Yeah, like the AFC football over the next decade. I mean, we're going to be spoiled over the next decade with all these great quarterbacks coming up. If they all stay healthy, I mean, it's a lot of stuff can happen, obviously. But shoot, it's not even talking about Justin Herbert. It's not even talking about if I guess who else is there in the AFC?
I mean, if Russell Wilson bounces back, he's not one
That's
of the
fair,
young
Russell
guys.
Wilson.
And then
if Zach Wilson or Mike White comes on top. No, I'm just joking around.
Yeah.
But also Tua, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Tua? I mean, I don't think he's going to be up there with those guys yet. I don't think he is either, but still, it's a big, young name.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. But let's move on now. And this will be the last segment that we talk about tonight. But talking about the Chiefs, and really, honestly, kind of somewhat of a preview. But how is Patrick Mahomes going to play on Sunday?
I don't know. Sprained ankles suck. Mac Jones missed 3 weeks with one this year. There was another quarterback that missed time with a high ankle sprain. I don't remember, but they are very hard to play with. Playing basketball growing up, you roll your ankle, you get ankle sprains. They're not fun. The only reason that he was able to play on Sunday or Saturday was because they took him off the field, they put some tape around it, right? And then he was still adrenaline pumping and went back out. Yeah. Today, Patrick Mahomes probably did not walk.
Yeah. I know. I had that a guy rolled up on me in a flag football game during like college intramurals. And I didn't walk for a couple days. I was on crutches. I mean, let alone the fact I'm obviously not an elite athlete.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of painkillers, a lot of injection shots, I think, just trying to keep the swelling down. But I bet his leg was elevated as much. Brittany Mahomes is probably just holding Patrick Mahomes upside down for the next 3 or 4 days. Just get all the blood flow out of there.
But so that will slow down the healing process, which is like the thing with the high ankle sprain is there is just no way to heal it other than time.
and just let the body heal itself.
Yeah, it just like there's no way to heal it unless it's so bad that you have to have surgery, but then that takes like 6 weeks.
Well, yeah, he's definitely not getting surgery.
He's not getting surgery. So they were talking a little bit about it today at halftime of the Bills-Bengals game, and in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes will probably play. He will just be a pure pocket passer, but that is a huge risk for them to take. Is Case Keenum their backup?
No, Chad Henne.
Chad Henne? Okay.
Yeah.
He needs to be prepared to play on Sunday.
Well, I would not be surprised if they do if they have some sort of creativity thing, and they maybe use Mahomes as a decoy in some plays, bring Henne in on set running plays, but they can also throw the ball.
That would give it away.
Well, sorry, it's majority of running plays, but then yes, they can also throw the ball. It's like trying to explain when someone asked Peyton Manning what Omaha meant. Like sometimes it's run play, sometimes it's pass play. That's what Chad Henne's going to be. Chad Henne's going to be the Omaha of Kansas City's offense on Sunday. No,
yeah, but that's any offense.
No, I know. That's the joke. That's the dumb joke. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know. Because I agree. Because even you saw some on some of those handoffs, he's hopping to the running back.
Yeah,
like he can't even put weight on his ankle.
Yeah.
So it is just at what point is it an 80%, 75% Patrick Mahomes is compared to 100% Chad Henne?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's so if Chad Henne can operate the offense to 75% of what Patrick Mahomes can do, and Patrick Mahomes is at 65%, then it's you just go with Chad Henne. This is going to be a very interesting development throughout this week. Seeing we'll probably see Patrick Mahomes if he practices, if he has any press conferences, anything like that. It'll be really interesting. Starting quarterback has to do a press conference on Wednesdays, I think. So it'll be really interesting to see if Patrick Mahomes does that press conference or if Chad Henne does that press conference.
Patrick Mahomes is going to do that press conference. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to do everything in his power to
but
to be on there. And they might even do even optics of he's going to be he's starting on Sunday. He's starting on Sunday.
Yeah,
he's starting on Sunday. You even said that the Bengals are preparing for Patrick Mahomes, but then if they change it immediately, where Mahomes doesn't dress, that's off chance that he doesn't dress because it's that bad.
It's going to be a very interesting story to follow this week. If he does not play, what do you think the Chiefs' chances of winning are? 1 in 5?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I would still, as of right now, because I'm kind of leaning towards the Bengals winning that game anyways. I need to think about it more in general.
That's my
but also if they are now if it is Chad Henne, it's Mahomes is the X factor. Mahomes has always been the X factor, especially now with this offense, and he's not out there. That's a big loss, obviously.
This is not the Chiefs team that went out without a Patrick Mahomes in the second half and beat the Cleveland Browns. They don't have Tyreek Hill. They still have Travis Kelce, but they don't have Sammy Watkins anymore. They don't have who's the other one? I forget who some of their other receivers were.
Byron Pringle. I mean,
well, I guess maybe outside of Sammy Watkins, they never really had that great of weapons. But
that's what I was thinking as well.
So they don't have that anymore. What makes this offense so great is the fact that Patrick Mahomes can throw to any one of the 5 guys they have running a route.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that and it's Chad Henne and you're back to 1-2 reads, that is a very hard adjustment to make. And for me, if Patrick Mahomes does not play, I give the Chiefs a 1 in 5, to 1 in 7-ish chance of actually winning that game. It's going to be so hard for Chad Henne to come in, play full game, and come out on top. So
yeah, I I don't know. It is. I'll have more to say on our Wednesday episode. So I think more time to digest, process it.
We'll have more information, hopefully, too.
More information, a lot for sure by then. And so, but that's definitely going to be an interesting development because the offense definitely did seem to slow down a little bit. Obviously, once Mahomes got hurt, and then in that second half, could not move as much, and then he definitely seemed tentative to run. I mean, he was doing everything he could, but also at the same time, he was doing a great job, I think, just having the wherewithal to be like, okay, I just got to throw the ball, or I got to get out. Like, I'm about to get hit. Like, don't want to risk any other contact.
And this Cincinnati defense, if they play as aggressive as they did, which I'm assuming they will, they are going to be coming after Patrick Mahomes with all their might. And it's going to be a really interesting game next Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah. So
yeah. If they can somehow get through, he should be good by Super Bowl. If they can somehow win on Sunday. That is a big if, though. Like, that is a big if. This is already a team that has beaten. Do they play in Kansas City or they play in Cincinnati?
They played in Kansas City.
They played in Kansas. No. Sorry. In the regular season. They played in Kansas City also?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that for me, like, huge bonus for Cincinnati that they've already gone there and won. So it'll be really interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to it. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. I think Tyler and I are going to wrap it up here. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so we can ping you every time we go live. We will be going live Wednesday at 10 to go over the AFC and NFC championship games. So tune in, and we will see you guys then.